Hello, 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 everybody. This is Dr. Serelda from the Married to My Purpose podcast. I am happy to be back after a week. I'm looking forward to talking about a topic tonight that I know can affect everyone, and that is mental health. And if you all were not aware, May is the Mental Health Awareness Month. Now, every month, every day of the year, every second of our lives is a mental health moment. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're healthy year round for mental health. But this particular month is reserved for mental health awareness. And I would definitely wanted to take the time out to bring awareness to mental health, right? So I want to focus on a quote today from the author Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. Now, I'm reading that book right now, and you should read it too, actually. I'm putting a plug in. I don't get any royalties from this. It's just a good book, okay? I'm listening to the audio book. It's on YouTube. So if you're not the person that likes to read and turn pages, they actually have the entire book on YouTube. And so one of the things he said was this. He said, remember, when your plans fail, temporary defeat is not permanent failure. Remember, when your plans fail, temporary defeat is not permanent failure. Now, what I did, I took a spin on it. So basically, what I said was temporary failure is not permanent defeat. Because we can fail at many things, right? We can fail to attain a certain level of money. We can fail to attain a certain job. We can fail to attain our January 1st resolution goals. We can fail to pick up our kids on time. We can fail to do something for our spouses or our significant others. But I wanted to make sure that I made that particular quote work for me. And that is, temporary failure is not the same as permanent defeat. If I'm defeated in something, to me, that's final. I can fail forward. I can get back up. Even if someone fails a class, they can retake it. Now, that's probably not something somebody's parent wants to hear. Even if they have scholarships, you don't want to fail in class. I know many of my friends right now have children in college, and failing a class is not something a parent or a guardian wants to hear, okay? But when we talk about temporary failure versus permanent defeat, when we're talking about being married to our purpose, there are some days where we may feel that we fail at focusing on our purpose. There are some instances where we feel we're not enough. Especially with Mental Health Awareness Month, we want to make sure we remind ourselves that we are enough. We are enough. I often talk about my military career, which started in El Paso, Texas. But I talk about my career in a way that helps people who are stuck. At some times in my career, I was stuck. I thought that that was the way that I was going to attain success. It was a portion of my success in life, but it was not the end all be all. So when we talk about failure, when we talk about defeat, there were some days that I felt defeated. There were some days where I felt like I failed. And I'm telling you, even with defeat or failure, I was paralyzed some days mentally. Like, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Is this system for me? Is the military system for me? Is the federal government system for me? Am I supposed to be doing something else? And in that moment, in that time, and in that season, I was right where I was supposed to be. So that's the first point that I want to talk to you all about. You are right where you're supposed to be right now. I guess you all are wondering how I know. There are people you are listening to this, like, this lady doesn't even know me. You're right where you're supposed to be because you haven't moved anywhere else beyond it. Right? So many people will say, no, that's not true. I'm supposed to be further along than where I am. Are you? Because it's going to be based off of your effort. Are you a procrastinator? You're probably right where you're supposed to be. I am a procrastinator at times. I've had to learn not to be. When I did my studies at Regent University, when I received my doctorate degree in strategic leadership and leadership coaching, I had to learn very quickly how not to procrastinate, because assignments, discussions, projects, uh, tests, exams, all of these things, literary reviews that are not 2 pages, 40, 50 pages, and they're all due around the same time. You may get the assignment on Monday and it's not due until Sunday night at midnight. Sounds like a lot of time, but it's really not. So, procrastination, had I said, you know what, I'll just let this one slide this week, it would have piled up and piled up and piled up. How often do we do that with our own purpose in life? We'll delay things. We'll say, no, I'll do it next year. We'll say, you know what, Dr. Herbin, Dr. Serelda, you're sponsoring this conference, you're hosting this conference in El Paso, Texas this year in August. Get your tickets, folks. Get your tickets. Register, register, register. Can't wait to see you there. I've never done this before. I get scared. I get in my head space. I get worried. I get anxious. And then God brings me back and says, you're right where you need to be. So if I want it to be successful, guess what? I've got to do the work. And the work starts in my mind first. Okay. Here's something that I want you to consider. Be mindful that you made it. What does that mean? You're still here. So everything that you have gone through, you are 100% conquered in all of those areas. You're conquered. And you have conquered those things. You may feel like you have not. You may say, I don't know about that one area. You're still here. You're still listening to this podcast. Remind yourself, affirm yourself that you made it. What else? Be kind to yourself. Give yourself grace. Failure and defeat causes us to be remorseful. It puts us in a state of guilt. It allows our mindset really to do a deep dive. It'll just plunge into those spaces of sadness, of disappointment in ourselves. Guess what? Your purpose is still your purpose, even if you failed along the way, even if you were defeated along the way. You have still got to get up. Remember that. Get up. Give yourself grace. Pat yourself on the back first. Encourage yourself first. What about remember that your brain is an organ and it needs rest too? As entrepreneurs, as people who may have 9-to-5 jobs, you may not be an entrepreneur. Your mind has to rest. I know some people don't believe that. There are some people who are excited to tell folks that they only get 2 hours of sleep. That would not be me. I enjoy my rest, okay? I enjoy my rest. Your brain is an organ, folks. Just like your heart is an organ, just like your lungs is an organ. They are organs as well. Your brain is an organ. So how do you keep your brain healthy? Letting it rest sometimes. Understanding that it's not an option to rest. Because you know what happens when you don't rest? Your body is going to tell you to rest. It's going to pile so much weight on your mind until your body physically says, nope, no more. We're done here. And before you know it, you're either dehydrated or in the bed sleeping for 6 or 7 hours when you could have gotten that amount daily. This may sound crazy. Make time for yourself. Make time for yourself. Now, when I say make time for yourself, I'll give you an example. I talked about this in a few of my podcasts where I'm hosting this conference in El Paso, Texas. Had extreme amounts of favor in terms of resources and space and time and availability of people to support and help me. I surrounded myself with supportive people, but I had to make time for myself in order to do this. This is part of my purpose. Now, will it be in El Paso next year? Maybe it'll go on tour. I don't know what's going to happen next year, but I know that I'm planning this year. And some days I got stuck. And the day that I got stuck, for example, one of those days, I got a phone call from a friend that said, "What do you need? You helped me at my conference and you didn't ask me for anything. I can't even charge you to help you build your conference out. And I have these resources and I have those resources. I didn't ask for it. I didn't know the favor was coming." Sometimes we've got to remember that favor comes from different places. Favor comes from different places and from different people. Watch this. It could come from people that you don't even realize. And those people can come up to you and say, "I don't know why it was laid on my heart to come talk to you. I don't know why it was laid on my heart to email you or inbox you, but A, B, C, and D. And I'm supposed to help you do something." Has that ever happened to you? It has certainly happened to me. Not only on the receiving end, but the giving end. Just like there's a phrase that says, "Be a go getter." How about we adopt that phrase that also says, "Be a go giver"? And when we say be a go giver, go and give to yourself. I understand going and giving to other people, that's fine. But you've got to give to yourself first. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Mental Health Awareness Month does not have to be heavy. But when I tell you mental health is directly tied to your purpose and you operating in it, it is 100% directly tied into it. If your mind is not settled, if you are not disciplined to understand where you are and where you want to be, your mind will constantly be in a state of chaos. Don't do that to your mind. Take some time. If you've never stopped, just stop. I was on social media today and there's an image out there. It was a lady that was laying on the floor, and basically the image on the back of her back, it was like a battery case was open and one of the batteries was hanging out of her back and the other one was on the floor. And basically the theme to that image was that take time to just stop. Because when you fall as a woman, this one was particularly to women. When you fall as a woman, you collapse. Nobody's going to remember that you went over and beyond to do A, B, C, and D. They're going to be focused on the fact that you collapsed, that I collapsed. Even men, children. Stress kills. It's one of the top ways people are dying today. Stress, not organ failure, not cancer, not diabetes, stress. Guess what? Stress is directly tied to our minds and our mindset. It is directly tied to our minds and our mindset. I'm reading another book, and there's a chapter in there that said, thinking and thoughts are not the same thing. Okay. And I am a thinker. I always say that until I read that chapter. And the chapter said, thinking is not good for you. I'm like, what? I'm a word nerd. I got to think. But what I learned was thoughts are not unhealthy. No matter what type of thought crosses your mind, what you do with that thought is absolutely and could be potentially unhealthy. But when you now start thinking on that thought over and over and over again, now your brain is in a perpetual state of, well, what if this? What if that? What happens here? What may happen over there? Now you become a risk averse thinker. Why? Why do that to yourself? I wanted to just take this episode at least to take some time to stop. Whether you've listened to a podcast this month yet that focuses on mental health, I want you to focus on yours. We can go out and find expert, research, data driven podcasts that talk about how to be mindful of yourself and mindfulness and mindset and updating who you are, self inventory. But it starts with you, it starts with me. If we don't start where we are, use what we have, and do what we can, which is a quote from Arthur Ashe, we're going to be stuck and paralyzed in our purpose. Okay? So as we go and continue this Married to My Purpose podcast, I encourage you to think about the things I've talked about today. Remind yourself that you made it. You're still here. Be mindful that you should be kind to yourself. And also remember that your brain is an organ. You have got to take care of your brain, regardless of what goes on in life. One thing for sure, life is going to happen. As people say, life be lifing. Regardless of what happens in life, you could be in some of the most austere environments or some of the most painful situations. It's how you allow your mind to process within that particular situation or circumstance, okay? Take care of your mind this month. Do a reset and make sure you remember you are worth it, okay? And if you need to fail, fail forward. Be innovative in your failures. Do something with the failure, all right? The next time we talk, I'm looking forward to seeing some testimonials out there. So listen, thank you all so much for the opportunity to speak with you for a little bit. Those that are logging in, make sure you subscribe. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. All right? Bye-bye now.